You're listening to the Coop Homeschool Podcast.
This is your podcast for community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling. I'm Mandy.
I'm Jessica.
And this is The Coop. We're going to talk about homeschooling on a budget.
Yes.
A lot of people say, I don't think I can homeschool even though I want to because of my budget.
Right.
And we want to say that homeschooling does not have to cost you an arm and a leg. So what we're going to talk about is 1, where to look for supplies and curriculum, 2, how to plan experiences so they don't cost a lot, and 3, how your homeschool lifestyle can make a difference.
Perfect.
So you're going to want to take notes. Well,
Yes.
not you, but you guys.
Maybe. I'm
well, we
sure.
do have show notes though, so you can always check those
Have room
out.
for improvement, I'm sure.
Yeah. So let's start with our scoop on the Coop.
Ooh, yeah, we went with a joint one today.
We did.
So a few weeks ago, we were talking about all the California field trips I was planning, and we went on one.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
was.
I was impressed with the turnout. I was really nervous, I have to say, as the person coordinating it, because I wasn't planning to lead a whole field trip. I was just getting us there and kind of like, well, we can go do this together and then that and then whatever. So that was really a challenge for me, but it was awesome. I got the best feedback from everybody. I'm like, I hope they really liked it. And I'm sure they did. But it was just funny because I was like, oh, good. I'm glad I
Well, you sent us
organized
the
it.
resources, what the national park websites had to say and what had to teach about it. And then people can always look up a YouTube and show their kids a YouTube. And I did that too. And then you had references people could print out ahead of time. So 1 or 2 people did that. And then you also showed the park ranger program. A couple of people printed off those workbooks. And so people could customize the field trip how they wanted, but still be with a group and still enjoy navigating this really cool experience together.
Exactly.
So the Cabrio National Monument is basically highlighting where Cabrio, Juan Rodriguez Cabrio, where he discovered what he called San Miguel and later San Diego.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful because it's Point Loma and it's at the very tip of a peninsula, a very thin peninsula. And there's this lighthouse and this gorgeous monument, and the view is all of San Diego. It's spectacular.
It is.
And it was a beautiful day. And
you drive south from a naval base too.
Yeah.
So it's active military right there.
And
so,
the cemetery is
Fort Rosecrans
awestruck.
Cemetery
Yeah.
is I had I started crying telling my kids about it.
I was
in the
telling
car.
them
I was
all
like,
about it. I'm like, every single of these
Yeah.
white tombstones is someone who gave their life for our country.
right.
Or gave their life.
They
served our
country. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was really awesome. And then there's tide pools as well. And they have a ranger everywhere you go. And there was someone who was teaching us about 16th century weapons and like what, the type of weapons that probably Cabrio used.
Right.
And your daughter got to wear a really heavy helmet and hold the flag.
Yep. Yeah, it was really neat. And this guy was a volunteer for the monument, the national park. And we walked up. He's like, "Are you the school group?" And I was like, "Well, we're the homeschool group. Or is that who you're expecting?" And he was like, "Yes. Do you guys want to learn about this stuff?" And all the kids flood the table.
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, they do. And the kids ranged from ages 2 up through 12.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah. And they were all listening. It was really...
he was showing daggers
Yeah, we were there
and
for 30
gunpowder and then at the tide pools, there's a park ranger there teaching about all the things they're going to see and how to handle tide pool animals.
Yes.
And so it was really cool. So what I want to mention about that, since we are talking about budget, is that because normally parking is anywhere from $20 to $35. Like I noticed on the day we went, it would have been $20 a car.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize it varied.
Yeah. And I don't know why sometimes it's $35.
Right.
But,
Weekends are seasonal or something.
yeah. And but because you organized a group, it was free. So having the co-op helped us have a wonderful free day. We brought our own snacks and water and it was free the whole day.
We just had to get ourselves there.
Yeah. And then there were links on their website for, like I mentioned,
You didn't have to buy a book. You didn't have to purchase a curriculum. You could resource everything for free in order to learn about the place we were going.
Yeah, and the people involved. And so we learned about Cabrio on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. So it was just really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to homeschooling on a budget.
Okie doke.
This is like my favorite category. The first places to look is what I'm going to say. So we have first places to look and second places to look.
Okay.
The first places to look are almost the obvious places. But I'm going to say number one, garage sales.
Oh, yeah.
These have anything and everything you need: curriculum, squishy body models, flashcards, art supplies, games, books, furniture that you can convert into desks or
the reading
bookcases.
space.
Yeah. CDs, sewing machines, fabric, ribbon, anything you can think of. So if you go there, if you make it a fun treasure hunt, or if you can find a neighborhood garage sale, that's gold, because not only is treasure hunting fun, a neighborhood one, it's all in one space. And we were in Colorado and went to a neighborhood one.
Right.
And I got a squishy body. I got the Mo Willems board game, like the pigeon thing. I didn't even know he had a board game.
Right.
I got a bunch of books. I got flashcards, like about art, like historical art. And then they even had some of my own curriculum there for me to thumb through. So it was just like amazing, just at a neighborhood.
Right. That's cool.
And so if you pick a good neighborhood that's maybe in a homeschooling area,
Friendly,
then you might find a lot of that. Schools and churches have garage sales. And what's cool about bringing your child along with you, you teach your child the value of their money.
Yeah.
And then what you find is, then if you find the squishy body and it's a model with the organs are squishy, if you find one of those, then and your child looks really interested in it, and then you can say, oh, I'll pay 50 cents for that.
Yeah.
And then let's study the human body. And you could look up online, you could find YouTubes like Operation Ouch, and you have basically a whole unit study for 50 cents.
Totally. And I would corroborate the schools and churches. The homeschool group I was a part of, we were under an umbrella program. So the PSP that most of the kids belonged to, they organized a curriculum exchange every year.
So cool.
And so I remember having to help. It was our jobs as high schoolers, apparently. We'd go and lay out the blankets, and then the moms would all walk around and talk about the curriculums and trade things. And I'm sure there was purchasing. I don't really know now, because I didn't care at the time. But these moms were all super resourceful and being able to trade and exchange things and see it.
Yeah.
But this was 20 years ago.
Yeah, so
25 years ago.
Well, and when you're with other people, actually, too, you get to see the things that they're buying, that they're interested in. And like when we were in Colorado and we went with their cousin who has all these animals, she would buy a ceramic tissue box, and she said, I'm going to turn it on its side, and now it's a cave.
Oh, nice.
Against
something you wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, it's a cave for my hamsters. And it was just like, it was a Harry Potter one.
Oh, cool. So then that's super fun.
Yeah. And so then she ended up theming her hamster cage is like as big as this desk. Like, she has so many. And, or they could have been gerbils. I have no idea what they were.
But creatures.
And she themed the whole thing that, and then she made some crafts thing, and there's a whole learning experience right there that happened because she found one thing at a garage sale.
Right, and she didn't break the bank trying to do that.
Right. So then the next thing is thrift stores. You have garage sales and thrift stores. Thrift stores are a giant garage sale where everything's organized.
Right.
And not all thrift stores are created equal. So one idea is people who thrift a lot, they actually tour thrift stores in their general area, and they figure out what sells what. So then when they're looking for something, they know to go, like our favorite one is Valley Thrift, to find books, right? Because homeschoolers seem to drop off all their stuff there. So they have workbooks, chapter books, picture books, reference books, homeschooling books, Usborne books. Yeah, they have all these books there. And every time I go, even if I went every week, all the books would be new and different.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I will take the kids there and say, you can pick $5 worth of books.
Right.
And so you want to know which stores sell what, and you want to visit regularly, because once you find a good one, then you just keep returning. I found like the collection of 10 Peter Rabbit books for like $4.
It's crazy.
I have the collection here of 22 of them.
Right.
But sometimes the collection of 12 sells for like $40 or $50. And these were literally, they creaked when I opened them because they hadn't even been read.
Right.
The Peter Rabbit one was missing, but the Squirrel Nutkin and the Too Bad Nut Mice and all these ones that I actually love more than the Peter Rabbit ones had not even really been open.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I actually bought it and gifted it to a pregnant person for her shower.
Right.
Okay, and you can repurpose finds. Furniture can be turned into forts, desks, outdoor learning space. Collect teacups so you can do poetry tea time.
Oh, totally.
On a dime.
Right, like if you love the hodgepodge look, you
Yeah,
know, like
totally.
I
and that
love
might be your
That
only
mix and
option.
match.
But
Right.
that's like my preferred option. I
Right.
love
the 25-cent teacup. And,
it's really great. You can get even large canvases of paintings that might have like some marker on them, so they're like $5, but that's a canvas actually. So you can paint over that, paint it white, and now your kid has a whole canvas that would have been $60 at Michael's. Now you got it for $5.
ready to go.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and then they have enrichment items. Like I bought a globe there not too long ago for about $4 on their 50% off day. I bought train sets, picnic blankets for sitting in the grass. And then if it gets gross, no big deal. You just throw it away.
Right.
Because you bought it for like $1 or $3. Dress up clothes and costumes for when they're writing scripts or plays and they want to put on performances. Now they have stuff. We went looking for Orphan Annie stuff. And that was really fun. And we're buying things that we're going to just create more holes in and look like orphans. Yeah. So not that orphans look that way, but.
Right.
Okay, the third first place to look is libraries. So every library, we talk about it nonstop, right?
I know. We love libraries.
But they have their own set of experiences. Some have 3D printers. They have computer learning games like ABC Mouse. They have puzzles and other learning toys. They have books, CDs, DVDs, story time. And some of them have rooms of just educational wooden toys for kids to play with.
Yeah.
And then there's a window where you can see the train go by. And so you could just put your kid in there and let them free play with the other kids. And they have all these toys that you don't have at home.
Exactly.
You get their list of events. They have craft days where they provide the crafts. They have lessons. They have themed experiences. They even, the one in our town did a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory themed day with educational arts and crafts. And then they also do free meals in the summer for kids. So my friend and I went to a couple of those, and the adults are not allowed to eat.
Right.
And then even if your kid is finished, you're not allowed to eat off their plate. You have to throw away what they don't eat.
Goodness.
But they were offering it, and nobody shows up to that. So the food literally goes to waste. So if you can save on a lunch, then maybe that money you would have spent, those $1, $2 per kid times 5 kids, that's $10 to $12. Now you can get a book that you really wanted to buy or something. You could find another place for that.
You can rework the budget.
And libraries have the used bookstore for books for 25 cents to $1 on certain days. And then they have the audiobooks on the app, like Overdrive and Libby by Overdrive. Those seem to be the most popular ones. Okay, so those are the main places I would look for inexpensive materials. The second place to look are Facebook groups, websites, blogs, and magazines. Discounts and charter schools and requested gifts from people. So I'm going to go through each of those real quick. Facebook groups have Buy Nothing group.
Oh yeah.
There's homeschooling groups like Homeschool for Free Homeschool Printables.
There's homeschool curriculum swap pages on Facebook.
There you go. So
I belong to one.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So you can go in there and just ask. You can do I'm searching for blank. And
I have this.
Yeah.
Does somebody need it?
And then Buy Nothing might have the organizing carts that you want and the whiteboard you might want and things like that. Okay, 2 websites, blogs, and magazines. So budgethomeschool.com has free lesson plans organized by subject and grade.
Nice.
Teacherpaidteachers.com. Every person who has an account on there has to post a free printable in order to sell.
Right.
So there's a bunch of free printables on there that you can check out. And then other ones that are like 25 cents and $1 and whatever. And then there's curriculum review websites, which I say are important before you actually invest in a curriculum. So you can go to Kathy Duffy Reviews, Rainbow Resource.
Yeah, if your budget's important to you, you really want to make sure you're going to like what you're buying.
Yeah. And which one do you like better, Kathy Duffy or Rainbow Resource?
Well, I like Kathy Duffy because she has a Christian lens, and so I appreciate the way that she reviews things. Rainbow Resources, I don't feel like they review very in depth, but they give you a really good overview.
Yeah.
Like Kathy Duffy actually critically reviews it. And Rainbow Resources is mostly a overview of what each curriculum or content offers.
That's true.
So they're both really
and
good.
And they have a clearance sales tab.
And Rainbow Resources has everything. They basically sell every curriculum through their website. So it's nice because you can go to one place instead of going to this place's website and that.
Yeah.
And comparing prices, or maybe Amazon has it cheaper. Like, you can just go to Rainbow Resources.
And then make your T-chart of pros and cons for the ones you're considering and see which one is worth the money.
Right.
And then discountschoolsupply.com. If you go into clearance, they have you can buy a lot of school supplies. They're all in bulk. I think they're for the classroom. But if you're part of a co-op,
you might want those.
Who else wants all these cubes for storing toys? Because I only need 3, but it comes in a set of 12. And people might go in and split with you, and then you actually got something at a really discounted price.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then homeschool.com. What a great website name, right? Homeschool.com.
Yeah, no, I actually like them. I reference them or use them a lot.
Yeah, they have free homeschool planners and unit study supplements.
Yep.
And then Homeschooling Today magazine, I actually just signed up for it. I did the $9 per year digital download, and you get 3 issues of 80 pages with encouragement, tips, lessons, seasonal art ideas, and more.
That's awesome.
And so it could be just something as simple as a digital magazine that you subscribe to that gives you ideas and gives you access to things. Okay, so that was websites, blogs, and magazines. Then there's discounts. So you can get teacher discounts. So if you can get an ID through like a Portrait Studio, pay the $5 for the ID, then you can get the 20% off at Barnes & Noble and others. Like I know like Office Depot or Office Max or Staples used to give a teacher discount, or they would have a week where they would do a teacher discount. And then there's Groupon. We used it for escape room, climbing wall, bay cruises, whale watching, ice skating, zip lining, all experiences you want to have that are really expensive. But if you Groupon it,
it can be
possible.
Yeah.
And then a lot of places have homeschool rates. So many lessons and places offer homeschool rates for a certain time of day. So for instance, our gymnastics is 25% cheaper if it's earlier than like 2:30.
Exactly.
And then sibling rates. So if you sign up siblings for the same vendor activity, then you'll get another 25% discount, or 20 or 10. And then like at one of your schools of dance, they give discounts for the whole family. So the more classes you take, the cheaper the class is.
As a family, yeah.
And then we have passes.
Oh, yeah.
So although upfront costs may feel like a lot, but a museum pass, if you have a system of museums where one museum pass can get you into all of them, or there's a certain month where they do a museum trade, then you can check out all the other ones, and you just plan ahead for that. You say, okay, we're going to go to a museum 2 times every week for this month, because that's when we get to check out all these museums for free because we bought this other museum pass. So really check that out. And then some cities have, if you have like an adult pass, the kids are free.
Yeah.
Or the kids go free, and then you just buy yourself a ticket. Right. And so you want to pay attention to that and look for that, and think of where you can get a pass that you can get the biggest bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Okay, so another place to look is charter schools for homeschooling. We've talked about charter schools where you can get a budget for curriculum, lessons, and experiences. You can get technology like iPads and laptops.
Right.
And then they have free activities for kids too, to meet up and do crafts together or explore together.
Yeah.
And a really fun idea of another place to look is grandparents and aunts and uncles who are looking to buy your kid or you a gift. Why don't you request lessons?
Yes.
Request adventures, request experiences, and request books. Create your list and keep it current, and so then you're ready. So if you have this wish list on Amazon, or a wish list of places you want to go or you want to get a pass to, then when a grandparent says, oh, what can I get Sophia for Christmas, you could say, actually, these are the places she really wants to go, and we could utilize a pass to Balboa Park.
Right.
And,
totally. I miss my pass there.
I know, me too. So, so just communicating too that they want to, Ruby really wants to take lessons on OutSchool, but we can't keep paying for this weekly lesson. But if you're willing to buy that, she would love that for her birthday gift. Right. And so just to ask them for experiential learning experiences, but asking for that as gifts instead of things can really help your homeschooling go way further on no money. Okay, then another, so we had first places to look, second places to look. Now we have co-op and group benefits. So you can get, we talked about group prices and discounts, field trips, Safari Park we went to for $15 for an entire family. You can get group lessons. Individually, it's $144 for a music lesson for 30 minutes, or we paired our girls up and we got it for $100 each for 45 minutes. And it's still $100 a month, but that's cheaper than $144.
Right.
And so maybe the more people you add, also there's group tickets from homeschool field trip companies.
Right.
And so look out for those. You can go on your Facebook group and say, I'm looking for a homeschool field trip company, and people will recommend it.
Right. We know our local one. But.
Yeah. And then co-op parent expertise. So your kids can learn a lot from you and from other parents who have a certain expertise, and that's free.
Yes.
Another way co-ops help is they give you reviews and ideas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They can review curriculum.
Right. They can tell you why they didn't like something, and you can avoid paying that expensive price for that item.
Right. And here's an example. You love your California out of the box. Yes. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to buy it. $40. It's not too much.
Right.
And, I would use it all semester. And you're like, wait.
Stop.
Why don't you take a look at it? I know you. And this might not be a fit for you.
Or at least not for what you're using it for at the moment.
Yeah.
If you're ready to commit for something that's big, it's going to be awesome for you.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to buy it thinking it's going to serve your immediate need for what I knew you were using it for.
Right. So then I was over at your house. I looked through it and I was like, yeah. So I took some pictures of some of the other
the supplementals.
That you had. And then I could look those up and decide whether or not. So a Coop is very beneficial in that way to help with that, because you can peruse the curriculum too, not just see it online, not just look at reviews by Kathy Duffy.
Right. And I know you, and so it's not just a random recommendation or review. It's, oh no, Mandy, it's good for this, but for this, it's not good. Be careful.
Yeah. Or your child is, I know your child's not interested in this kind of activity, and that's a lot of this curriculum, so they might not like it. And then we did this. We had our own Coop group library. So we were sharing books, and it was during the height of COVID where libraries weren't
closed.
Open.
Yeah.
And so we went around one or two times, and the kids got to have the excitement of a library showing up in a bin and putting their books in, taking books out. And then you can trade homeschooling development books, and it's just really fun. And then lesson plan ideas too. I heard you and another person from our co-op were doing the Gather Around Human Body Unit study. And when I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And so I could pull your ideas of what you really liked, pull her ideas of what she really liked, and then just do what was essential, what I felt like was essential for us. And really see how you guys experienced the curriculum before I bought it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what the co-op can do for you on homeschooling on a budget. Then there's you. Make changes and commitments in your lifestyle.
Yes.
That can work on a budget. And that's how I would have to talk to myself.
Right. This is advice to ourselves.
I love to spend money.
Yeah. Well, can I just say, where do you feel in your homeschool, not in the rest of your life, but where do you spend the most of your money in your homeschool? Like charter school or personal, just in total. What do you spend the most on?
Probably buying books. Because as much as I talk about how great the library is.
Right, your band.
I paid way too much money in overdue fees and still owe a lot under my kids' names. So I cannot keep checking books out there because I don't return them.
Right.
And so the amount of money I have spent in dues, I might as well just bought the book.
Right. So now you do.
So now I just buy the book.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer when we only read it one time through, but I've noticed that if I put it to the side 2 years later, we circle back and they have no memory of it. And so we get to do it again. Yeah. So, and like we've said, there's so many conversations you can have and wisdom that you can impart through a picture book. So I spend a lot on that. And then I love experiences.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, it's lessons and experiences.
And lessons and experiences.
So those are, but those are the expenses that all families face outside of homeschooling. So that's just its own thing. I don't spend very much on my actual
curriculum,
schooling stuff. I do like books too, but I've been utilizing a lot of like free resources this year too, which has been awesome for my book collection.
Well, and you loaned me a lot for the human body, so I actually didn't need to buy any human body books because I borrowed all yours.
You've been building your personal book collection, not even curriculum related books per se. Yeah. So I think for us, it's very lesson and experience heavy, which means there's room to change that, you know, which is what you're about to get into. That's like why I wanted to ask, because, you know, everything up there, you know, like I don't feel like I spend a lot of money there, but I do, the experiences are really important to me. And so I do finagle the rest of my life to make sure that this experiences can happen.
And I find that when I go to homeschool conferences, that's when I actually spend a lot of money on stuff because I'm so inspired and my cup is so filled and I see so many amazing things that my kids could do that I'm like, I got to get it. I got to get that. I got to get the etiquette factory. I got to get the wealth building. Yeah, it is. And so that leads us to this first point in a lifestyle change. Commit to minimalism in content.
Yeah.
And teaching from Russ, because I'm still in that book, the quality, this is what Sarah McKenzie says in her book, the quality of study matters far more than the mere quantity of learning. So it's the quality. So she was promoting the minimalistic preference that we should have. And we talk about that in the institutional school, how people are bombarded with way too much information, and we might have our own version of that in our own homes. So to look out for that. And then she also says curriculum is not something you buy. It is far too robust to be purchased online or checked off on a set of lesson plans. It is a set of encounters that form the soul and shape the intellect. So if we can remember that, then it's not about just buying these books and scripts and things like that. It's about, okay, what encounters do we want to have?
Right. And that's what I love about the curriculum that I buy, is because it's actually encouraging that and supporting that and helping me feel inspired for that. And so I do have the actual book to thank for, you know, getting me to that point. But now it is this whole robustness.
Yeah. So part of minimalism is just looking at what's essential.
Right.
And sticking with that. And just buying or using what's essential. And forgetting the extras, because then you won't be spending money on something you might not ever use.
Right.
And then the save. Hold on to favorite content curriculum for future children.
Yep.
For circling back in a few years. My heart broke when I heard people thought with our charter school that they had to return everything they had bought at the end of the year. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? All these reference books and fun books that you bought for your kids to enjoy reading and learning, you returned, and now you have to rebuy them. And they're like, yeah, I didn't see why we had to do that. And I said, you didn't. You don't need to do that. There was this.
Our charter school doesn't.
Our charter school doesn't, but they have heard of others who had, so they just assumed. But hold on to those books. I just put mine in a bin. I have 3 bins of books in the garage.
I have 6 years between my kids, and I still have things saved.
Yeah, totally. Sell. If you know you won't ever need it again, consider trading with homeschool friends or selling the curriculum right away so that it is current and still maintains high value. So if you know you're going to sell something, but then you wait, then a new version comes out.
It's outdated.
And now it's like dingy. And so as soon as you realize, okay, I'm not going to use this curriculum again, sell it. And then I think unit studies are a good way to budget curriculum because if you, we keep promoting Gather Round in our podcast, but if you buy a curriculum or a unit study, I should say, that addresses all levels, then you can always circle back 4 years later.
Right.
And now the youngest is older and the older ones are older and you can dive deeper in that with them.
Exactly.
Okay. So that was commit to minimalism. And then number 2, be creative with free activities. Cook together, live life together, do chores, plant gardens,
right.
Take care of pets, do your backyard school.
Yeah.
And then discuss topics and good ideas, read books, hike together, talk about nature, play games together, scavenger hunts.
For sure.
Yeah. So just be creative with free activities. And then create a budget. So you can learn about budgeting from Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or whoever.
Right.
And you need to maintain realistic expectations. So what you can actually work on during a day, week, month, or year, what your kids are actually interested in, and 3, what value does this curriculum or activity or field trip actually bring to your child? So we do a lot of things because it's like, oh, that's what's next. But is it bringing value to your child?
Right.
And so you really have to think about that, because then you can start to edit things out.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's the time budget. And I got this, I think, while I was listening to Teaching from Rest from Sarah McKenzie. Look at the amount of time you have and rank necessity and decide how much time should be allocated to each category. You might find that you do not need to spend very much money at all. So 1, look at things that are free. Yeah. Discussions, prayer, expertise, printouts for from teacher pay teachers or whatever. Chores, hiking, YouTubes, playgrounds, borrowing books. That's all free. Okay, so you have that category.
Right.
Then you have the category of things that you already have and can use. Books, reading aloud, playing on an instrument you already have, bike riding your bikes you already have, caring for a pet, curriculum you haven't finished, unit studies, subscription boxes, recipes, game playing, documentaries on subscription channels you already have. Okay, so then you have the other category, things that need a small budget. A unit study, a downloadable homeschooling magazine, curriculum update for the new year, like we got to buy our new math workbooks. A reference book, garage sale finds, and then you have things that need a bigger budget. So box curriculum, your lessons, your sports leagues, your technology.
Right.
So then those are your 4 categories: free, things you already have, small budget, bigger budget, and then rank what those activities are and decide how much time are you spending on them.
Right.
If there's something you're spending a ton of time on that's free, then that's awesome. Then you know you can capitalize on that. But if there's something that you really need, that you feel like you really need, that costs a lot of money, but you're only going to spend barely any time on, use your time budget being like, is it worth those 10 minutes a day to have that? Probably not. But if your kid is really into computers and really wants to learn coding, then sign them up for that coding class. That might be expensive because they're really interested in it. Yeah. And then focus on what really matters. Integrate subjects. Focus on a few subjects. Do less. Dive deeper. Utilize YouTube and documentaries. Save money where you can. You want a homeschool overnight adventure? Try investing in camping gear. It's a big upfront cost, but like you did, when you traveled all over the nation this last summer, you camped for a lot of it for $35 a night or cheaper. And then you stayed in a hotel every once in a while to get that really good shower and relaxing moment. But that's a way you can do things if you can pay for the upfront cost or borrow some camping gear, even just to see if you like it.
You can get it at garage sales too.
Yeah, and play it against sports probably, right?
Oh yeah, they have their store garage sales. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't put a price on special experiences, on your discussions, on your devotions, on so many things that are free already.
Right.
Okay. So do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the same idea as customized education.
Yeah.
You can budget however you want, but it does not have to be expensive.
Yeah. And this is so much information thrown at you, but I feel like it just goes to show that you can have confidence that you can homeschool on a budget. You just have to be willing to do it. Okay. So now it's time for our Coop Q A,
where we answer your questions.
Okay. The question is, what is your favorite thing to buy for homeschooling?
Oh, that's a fun one.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So it used to be subscription boxes of all kinds because I've talked about that a ton. But now it's unit studies. And I think because I love Gather Around, like I mentioned her earlier, because the art is beautiful.
Right.
She addresses holidays. She addresses science and history.
Yeah. Well, what did I just do today? I Marco Polo'd you out of nowhere. I was supposed to be doing other work. And then I was like, Mandy, I just got us the Easter unit from
yeah.
Gather
Oh, I
Round
know.
because I was like, I just had to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because I was excited to do it.
Yeah.
But we just value this curriculum. And so it could be anything that you value. Mm-hmm. What you value is what you're going to buy.
Yeah.
And we happen to value this unit study a lot.
And we actually use it.
We do.
That's what makes
Separately
me happy.
and together,
yeah.
which is even more fun.
I love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes me feel regretful about things that I buy are things I don't use or when you look at your time budget, things you barely touched on, it's not worth the money.
No.
And so, I think when I really loved subscription boxes, it was because I treated it as a unit study.
Exactly.
Like the Universal Yums, I treated like a trip around the world and supplemented it with a whole bunch of other stuff. But I love the unit study. I love the experience of it. I love the beauty of it. I love that you dive deep into one topic. And so you should check out our unit studies podcast episode.
Definitely. I also just like reference books. I know you've called me out on that before, but I just do. I love having a big, beautiful book to look at that's going to give lots of little bits of information here and there, and that the kids can just keep going to. You know, you might look at pages 1 through 10, and then the next time you're looking at pages 45 through 90. Yeah. You know, and so it's just meant to be this ongoing thing.
And they're not always on the computer. No. They're not on a phone. You're not on the phone trying to get them information. It can be like, let's look at our reference book. Yeah,
it's a good life learning as well. So I like having those tools available.
How expensive is our reference books?
I would say at minimum, I think the ones that I typically gravitate towards are $20. And then I think the more expensive, like we have this really neat maps through world history book that I think was probably closer to $40. And then we have like a world history timelines, you know, and so I think those are probably more in the $25 to $30 range. So they add up.
Yeah, and those aren't ones you can really get from the library long term because the fees you'll pay will be astronomical.
Right. So a lot of them I did have the charter school fund. And then some we buy on our own because I know I'm going to want to keep those particular ones. And I am trying to buy more with our personal money these days than the school funds. But even still, I just keep adding as I go. So with each unit study, I might buy 2 more reference books that are just for that because now I have my foundational books. Yeah. So now it's just something that I add on each year. So I'm spending maybe $100 to $200 each year on reference books.
Yeah. And that provides a lot of content.
It really does. Yeah. And you can keep going back to it over and over again.
Yeah, and unit studies, at least the Gather Round ones, those are anywhere from $20 if you just get the only teacher guide. Or if you do it like I do, where you get all the ages, it's about, $50 to $60?
I think it's $55 for the digital.
And the human body one, I've been using since August, and now it's, it's March according to the podcast, but we're filming this in February. Yeah. I'm still doing human body.
Right.
And that was $50.
Right.
And so...
And you can circle back to it. It's yours forever.
Yeah. And then my Matthew C., it's just a new workbook. That's what?
20.
And then if you need the teacher guide, that's another 20.
Right.
So you don't need to buy a $600 box curriculum. No. You can piecemeal it and then use all these free resources and budgeting resources to help you through.
Love it.
Thanks for listening. We love your support. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast, leave a rating and review to let us know how we're doing, and share our podcast with your friends who need a little community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling.